it's one of the unusual days out of 7. A day when we gather together. And, I was thinking, it seems like that in our society, it's like wanting us to not to be together. Today I want to talk about, I don't want to say enemies, I'd rather say those who are not as friendly to us. And then I want to talk about something that is like the opposite of that, of being friendly. And then I want to talk about what you are to be as a friend. I can remember back some time ago when we had suicide bombers. Where'd they go? And then we had active shooters. I mean, in schools, in theaters, supermarkets. Where'd they go? Even in church. And then we have this virus. And it just seems like the distance of trust is on purposely being eroded. And yet, I am fed, I am healed by brothers and sisters. I'm not an island. I don't function very well with just Lauren in the picture. I need friends and people around me. I don't function very well with myself. And so I thought I would take a look at love your enemies and those that hate you. And so get this, see if this, now I'm going to hit this to the right here. Okay. Today I would like to talk to you about blessed by your enemies. We know that through our friendship we can be blessed. I know that. They can show favor to us. Haven't you been promoted by a friend? But they're not always realized that we can be blessed by our enemies. Does this function? Is it clicking? Okay, here we go. I wasn't watching here. Okay. I know that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was blessed by their enemies. I'm going to challenge you to find some friendship. Don't let this separation that we have affect your friendship. That's what I'm talking about. What we may think is a disappointment, a person that walked away, a friend that betrayed us, a co-worker that made us look bad, we may not like that, but we cannot react because their destiny may be in our future. I'm going to bring up exhibit number 1. David had Goliath in his pathway. Now, he could have had Saul, and God said, Saul, you know that there young pup over there? He thinks he wants to be king. I want you to go over him and raise him up. No, God didn't work that way. He says, I'm going to send a big giant in your pathway. And he's going to test you. If there wouldn't have never been a Goliath, and David would have rejected the challenge, I know you have a challenge. There's something in your pathway right now that's bugging you. And don't tell me you don't have any. In the real world we live in, you have got a problem. you need friends, and you need the Lord. And I need this church every Sabbath because I feed from people who help me. So David has a giant in his pathway. Okay, the tallest man that ever grew was Wadlow, 8'11". David was about 5'2". Shaquille O'Neal was 7. And we have here, Goliath's height probably was around 9. It doesn't make sense for David to go out there to that guy. And it doesn't make sense to drop your level of pride and say, Lord, I have a problem and I need help. That wasn't on his radar. Look at there. E.G. White said, as Adam came forth from the hand of his Creator, he was more than twice as tall as man living on earth. Eve was not quite as tall as Adam. Her head reached a little above his shoulders. 2 different places she says that. And then I'll just go to Got Questions. If you need a religious question, I love Got Questions on Google. And Google says, according to one theory, he's about 15 feet tall. Adam is pretty tall. And so they have found bones of people who are pretty tall. I mean, that femur or whatever that is that goes into the hip bone is a pretty big thing there. And that's a bone. So about this time you're saying, Wheeling, what are you bringing all this up for? What's this got to do with enemies? Maybe not only has your stature degenerated, but maybe you don't realize that you need has changed. Maybe you think you're independent. Maybe you think you're good enough. And one of those guys up there, his name is OG. They actually know in the Bible they found his bed. Have you heard of that? Have you heard how long his bed is? I'm about to tell you. What I'm kind of saying is, what was ain't now. In your physical and in your mental, you are changed. Here we go. The Ong was a survivor of the giant. I don't know what they are. His bed was made of iron and was more than 13 feet and 6 feet wide. Deuteronomy 3:11. There it is. It's a fact that you have dropped in stature, and I'll bet you have dropped in your mental capacity because of S-I-N. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay, did you know that? Not only sin, but your diet has changed you. And I probably say, there's some doubters. That's a fact. You just ain't what you used to be. It may look like a setback, but really it's a setup from God. God put David on a throne. After all, God could have used Saul, but he didn't. He used Goliath. Now get this. After Goliath, he disappears. and you never hear his name in the Bible again. Now, why is that? Because it was a setup. Sometimes people in your way make you mad. You get upset. I've been there and done that. More recent than I want to admit. Because when I came down to the valley, I don't know if you call it fall or winter. I don't know what to call it. But we came down here after Thanksgiving to something down here. I guess you call it winter, but in a way, whatever it is. We came to a new RV park, and I bumped right into a man. His name was Bruce. And first of all, he didn't like where I came from because our RV park was not polished and paved. And when he saw what our RV park looked like, he says, those people are going to have to shape up when they get in mine. Okay, that was strike number one. And then I brought some stuff along. Lauren has stuff, but in RV parks, they don't like stuff. They want nice looking. So that was strike number two. And it just kept deteriorating down to where I had an enemy. And he was threatening to kick me out. And then I met this lady over here. Her name is Pam, sitting to my wife, and her husband, Tomas. She believes in prayer. And she says, pray for Bruce. Oh, no. I don't pray for enemies. That's not my forte. Really? You know, that worked on me for about a day and two. Now, have you prayed for your enemies? Huh? You're kidding me. There's a lady, she said she has. So one day, I broke down. Is that right, Linda? You know, it was just like feeling like a heel to pray for Bruce. But Pam says, you got to, Lauren. It was just like, Lauren, are you a Christian or not? So I says, you know, I can't let her down. I'm supposed to be some church person. You have to do the part. So I said, okay, I'm going to pray for Bruce. I mean, that's what I'm talking about now. Just kind of let your humility drop and do something out of the box, okay? Hey, we are here and we're talking about church. We're not talking about buying TVs down the mall or anything. We're talking about something in the Bible. And God's pretty much into this praying for your enemies. So, in a way, you know, I kind of felt released a little bit from Bruce. And besides Pam, she started going to bat for me. I mean, godly people can really take it to you if they want to. And so pretty soon, Pam comes by and she says, Lauren, pray for Bruce. I says, oh no, now what? I don't know if this is the cause or not. I'm not going to say that. Because when you pray, you don't want bad people. Bruce is in Houston in a hospital. You're kidding me. Now, I am not gloating. I'm praying for Bruce, even if he's in a hospital, that the Lord's will be done. Now, if you haven't done that, try it. It's a little humiliating. Pray for your enemies. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, why is this happening? What's that? What? For me. No, God doesn't always use your friends. He can use your enemies, your critics, those that are trying to push you down. He can use them to raise you up. Here's David on the throne. He got to be king. It wasn't because of Saul, it was because of Goliath. So, why me? My natural inclination says, why is this happening to me? I thought I was a church Christian. Have you had that happen to you? Oh, I don't have to ask you. I know you have. I know. In 2009, I bought a car in Kansas City, a Buick Ultra, and I brought it home. Took it down to have it pulled out. It was wrecked. And the guy says, I can't fix that. That's too bad. Now, when a guy at a frame machine says it's too bad, it's pretty bad. So I decided to take it back. And I was going back to the auction to get rid of it. And I lost a bunch of money on it. But while I was taking it back, the two doors was off. The windshield was kind of cracked over there. I said, oh, that's okay. I'll just throw the doors in the back. Well, anyway, by the time I got to Lincoln, which was like an hour and a half away, it was so cold in the morning. Oh, I was freezing to death. I said, I got to stop and have some chocolate. So we stopped at a place. Well, little did I know, as I went around Lincoln, I was cell phoned about I don't know how many times. They said, somebody has got a car with the doors ripped off, and they are making an exit. I mean, that's what I think the report was. By the time I stopped for chocolate, here rolls in a whole bunch of cops. Oh, man, alive. What do you guys want? He says, you can't drive anymore. I says, yes, I can. I have a dealer's license. I can deal in wrecked cars. No, you can't. Well, anyway, the conversation got a little elevated. And the next thing I knew, he says, keep your voice down. I said, well, I'll keep mine down when you do. Well, that was not a good thing to say because I was playing right into his hands. Anybody been there and done that? Down on the ground I did, and I was bleeding like a stuck hog, and I was in cufflinks, and I was hauled off to the hospital, and they put an MRI on me to see if there's rocks in my head, and there probably was, I don't know, but anyway. So I got jailed, and I needed my wife to bail me out, and I knew I was right, but they just had a wrong opinion. A lot of people called in. And so in a way, I went home. My head was busted. Oh, no. And the phone started ringing. Lauren, you got any cars for sale? And I said, I'm not going to fight this. I'm just going to turn this over. I actually said this. This is like out of my character. I'm going to turn this over to the Lord. And it's going to be his battle because I'm selling cars. Well, pretty soon, about a month later, the phone rings. And I don't believe you. You say that you are a lawyer helping people out if cops mistreat? Huh? Where'd you come from? Yeah, he says, I work in the police office, and I help people. I says, well, if you want to do it, that's fine. So he gets my $3,000 MRI taken care of. He bought me my glasses, and all I had was court costs of $300, and he got me out all of it. And I started selling cars. Lord, I'm going to leave this problem to you. It was the best thing I ever said. I know that the teens have the less. There's the rich on the left on his poor, and I know that they have problems. They got a bunch of them. I'm so glad I'm not a teenager. I mean, just look at it. If that isn't enough, I got to go the wrong way. Here is job layoffs. People, they don't have jobs. Clothing retail's changing. I mean, education changing. Travel's changing. How about mixing stuff up? I know there's problems. That's all just happened. And, when we left here last year, until we come back, the world's changed. And then there's this old fogies. I mean, we got our own things. We're not stressed about who we marry or any of that kind of stuff. It's like, can we get up the steps or can we drive? I mean, that's what we worry about. So anyway, and then there's Judas. I bet you know what I'm going to say. God used Judas. In a sense, God used Judas more than his disciples. Judas was ordained to betray Jesus. Huh? Is that how God works? That was his purpose, to try and stop him. It wasn't just his idea, it was the idea of God. At that time, it seemed like a bad break. But if he had not betrayed Jesus, he wouldn't have been crucified. There would have been no cross. There would have been no resurrection. There would have been no redemption. You'd be stuck on this world. No salvation. If you think you can get out of here without Jesus on a modern society where it's going downhill the way it is, guess again. I shouldn't say this, but what in hell do you want? Yes, sir. Crucifixion, resurrection, salvation, all because of Judas. In him we have redemption, deliverance. I mean, I have been delivered out of a mess so many times. Forgiveness, shortcomings, trespasses. The grave and the cross. God's plan for your life far exceeds circumstances of your day. I have made you. I will carry you. I will sustain you. And I will rescue you. I could tell you how many, I am not a sleeper guy. I don't do much couch time. I have my hands in trouble a lot. And I need rescue. I'm on the rescue. Right, Linda? Is that true? She prays for me. I mean, just like last night. You know, I got up at 2 o'clock. I was thinking about this. And I saw a neighbor have lights on. I says, what's going on? He had a flashlight. She had a flashlight. And I heard noise over there. I'm just going to get on my bike and go find out. Well, in an RV park in the middle of the night, you don't do that. Because they think you are it. And then I got over there, there's a cop over there. And I was just what he was looking for. He was looking for somebody who was running around and they had saw somebody. We only live a mile from the border. And they just knew I was it. So anyway, we celebrate the birth of Jesus, giving birth in the manger. We celebrate John baptizing of Jesus, the dove coming down from heaven. But the man who betrayed Jesus, the one who sold him for 30 pieces of silver, was just as crucial in a part of his destiny, if not more so, than all the others. Am I making a point here? Any amens? I think we need our neighbors. You are your brother's keeper. Do you have somebody on your list right now? Is somebody? Do you have somebody? Okay. In Luke 5:17-26, there's a story about the paralytic. Now, we're talking about enemies here, okay? I'm just going to read at where the yellow is, I'm just going to read the last there. Jesus knew that what they were thinking, so he asked them, why do you question this in my heart? And why do you question this in my heart? It is easier for me to say your sins are forgiven or stand up and walk. So I will prove to you that I'm the Son of Man that has authority on earth to forgive sins. In other words, the enemy of that guy was blessed because Jesus says, I can heal him. Your enemies gives the Lord a chance if you have faith. But if you think you can do it, like I have been, I don't need to pray for my enemies. I can take care of business. And the guy got healed. It says it right there. To prove to them that he was the Son of God, he told the man, stand up. And the man stood up in perfect health. I know that you know what it's like to be a healthful-minded person. You know what not to do as far as what you eat and the things to look at, and things to not read, and the places not to go. And there are people who have those hooks in their flesh, and they can't get them out. They're hooked. And the devil knows it. And if you start meddling in their world, he's not going to like it. So, just last 2 Sabbaths ago, lesson 7 in our quarterly, I was kind of picking up on that. Now that's what I'm talking to you. That's you. If you. Now our lesson was Sennacherib, Assyrian. If God would have let that Syrian king come down and take his people through which Christ came, the line of Jacob, it would have been different. God says, I'm going to take care of that enemy right there. I'm going to stop him. I was in a lesson just, page, in your quarterly, page 56. This thing about praying for your enemies is getting bigger as I learn about it. And that lady right over there, she just told me, Lauren, you got to pray for Bruce. That just happened. So, anyway. Here's this if. I suppose you know that. If you can keep your head when all about you, I think right now people are losing their heads. Sorry to say. Are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, I'm going to call 2021 the year of the individual. That's my words. I come up with that. You are going to be tested. Who's your shepherd? That's a fact. You're going to be tested. Not this church. You, the individual. I'll prove that in a little bit right from the Bible. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, make allowances for their doubting too. Oh, you can read it. How did I ever get that picture up there? That's the life cycle of a boll weevil. Oh, boy. Did you guys put that up there? No? No, they said no, they didn't do it. I have to take the blame for this one. What on earth has a boll weevil got to do with trusting your, praying for your enemies? Anybody got an idea? Well, Phil, I got a little job to do here. This is a couple-mile trip. Okay. It happens to be that the boll weevil lays eggs in a square. And if you can kind of see that it's flat landing where she's laying, and it's flat that way and flat that way, and that's called the boll weevil, the boll square, the cotton boll square. And that's where that female lands. And now, here we go. I'm going to click this again, hopefully that this black turns into a song. And it's going to talk about the square, okay? I'm not talking about you being a square, even though when I went to high school, I was a square because I didn't show up Friday night and I couldn't dance. My dad had killed me. But anyway, he's going to talk about the square. Go for it if you can.
Let me tell you a story about a boll weevil. Now, some of you may not know, but a boll weevil is an insect, and he's found mostly where cotton grows. Now, where they come from, nobody really knows. But this is the way the story goes. The farmer said to the boll weevil, "I see you're on the square." Boll weevil said to the farmer, "Say, yep, my whole darn family's here. We gotta have a home. Gotta have a home." The farmer said to the boll weevil, "Say, why'd you pick my farm?" The weevil just laughed at the farmer and said, "We ain't gonna do you much harm. We're looking for home." And the boll weevil spotted him a lightning bug. He said, "Hey, I'd like to make a trade with you. 'Cause you see, if I was a lightning bug, I'd search the whole night through, searching for home. I'd have me plenty of homes."
Anybody nervous about the beat in church? I apologize. You can talk to me out back, but in a way, what does that have to do with enemies? Anybody figure this out yet? Oh boy, here we go. In 1892, the boll weevil came to Brownsville, Texas, with a plan. They were growing cotton down there, lots of it. And the boll weevil found that square, and he planted his seeds there, and pretty soon that cotton fell. The farmers were going broke. And it was one of the greatest disasters in American agriculture, because they tried DDT. You know what DDT is? I have some. It's illegal to own, and I'm not giving it up, because it kills insects like crazy. Well, the boll weevil could figure out that DDT would not kill them. After a few generations, they got resistant to it. We used to spray it on our potatoes, and the bugs were just thick on the ground. You just nail them. Well, in a way, it took a long time for the farmers to finally realize we got to go to plan B, because this enemy is making us go broke. Does enemies affect your financial pattern, maybe? I mean, I've been to bankruptcy. I've been through bankruptcy court. I've been thrown in jail because I had an accident. And the farmers are going broke. And one guy had an idea, plan B. Guess what it is? You don't know? I don't believe this. Say something. Somebody say the answer. Oh, who is that? Hey, inside trading here. The peanut became more money than the cotton. The enemy was the answer. If you kick that to the next one, and we're just going to play a little bit, and then I'm going to have her stop, and then we're going to skip over to 2.5 minutes, okay? So we're going to, let me just, oh yeah, here we go. Kick it up. So she's going to play this.
Have you ever driven by the giant peanut on Highway 231 in Dothan and wondered, how did the home of the National Peanut Festival end up here? Or better yet, how did the peanut become such a large part of the American culinary and cultural zeitgeist that there would be a National Peanut Festival anywhere? Let's talk about peanuts, how they got to Alabama, and why they're sticking around. The peanut wasn't always here, and its journey to becoming an Alabama power crop and beloved American snack food is a long one that starts far away and centuries ago. In the 1960s, scientists were able to pinpoint the origin of the cultivated peanut as eastern Bolivia in South America. And that makes sense because in neighboring Peru, archaeologists discovered terracotta jars filled with preserved peanuts and prehistoric burial sites dating as far back as 1500 BC. Later,
if she
in the
can skip that over to
1500s,
240.
Spanish explorers encountered peanuts.
I told you I was going to interrupt this. 240, and then we're going to talk about cotton.
Peanut oil, which is a lubricant for
240.
heavy machinery in the place of whale oil.
And then let her
Peanut
go.
oil also became a replacement.
We'll see if this works. If it don't, it's no big deal. And then let her play, whatever. That's good right there. And then hit play.
They took home with them after the war. But even as the popularity of the peanut, its flavor, and its other uses kept growing and growing, it was ultimately a tiny little bug that changed everything for the wiregrass region
There's
of
the enemy.
Alabama, the boll weevil. The boll weevil had a terrible effect on Alabama's ability to grow cotton, with the initial infestation resulting in losses of up to 75% of Alabama's cotton crops. Meanwhile, the famous scientist and educator, George Washington Carver, was working to show the United States government, farmers, and anyone who would listen, the versatility of the peanut as the main ingredient in a wide variety
You can
of
shut it
products.
off. That's good.
Farmers in the wiregrass region took note, and because of the
Now I'll go back and I want to kick one more thing up here. And right there it is. The person who has caused you the greatest humiliation and the greatest pain and the greatest suffering is also your greatest. I should have a Bible text after in but it is, I don't see it up there, but it's true. I'm just trying to get you to realize that you have problems. And, I mean, they've got us so separated, we can't even have a life nowadays. We can't. You have to see it to believe it. I mean, it's just like what you can't do to your fellow man anymore. It's crazy. It's the devil's work. That's what it is. It's the last days. I had some up here, and Linda said I should take it off, but it's Babylon. Armageddon is not a war. It is a gathering of the people in the last days. That's Armageddon, and we're approaching the battle of our minds, the battle of our hearts. It's here. It has nothing to do with a battle in the Middle East over real estate. So anyway, and you need to know this. All power is given in heaven and earth. He has it all. If you think that you got a problem and Satan has got your control, you've given him power. You need to say, enough already. He's the one that's got power because you give it to him. All power is of heaven on earth. He won the battle. Okay, iron sharpens iron. Okay, here. What on earth have I got here? I got some weapons here of mass destruction. Did you know that steel sharpens steel? Did you know that? And these do it. This is steel. I got a handful of steel, and steel sharpens steel. And I'm talking about friendship now. You sharpen your friends. And the way you do that is, first of all, you have some rough stuff to kind of roughen you up. Your pride kind of trash it up a little bit. This here's a stone. It's a wet stone. You wet it down. Then you take this. This is a high carbon steel. This here, and I just kind of go like this, and here it is. Now this is 90 degrees. That ain't going to work. And this is 45. And that ain't going to work because you're still on the edge. And this is where this knife goes across the stone. 20 degrees. Another half. Half and half. Right there is the angle that this knife goes across this stone. 18 to 20 degrees. And that's when I take the shoulder off of this knife because it has a shoulder on it, even though you have to take the shoulder off. And that's when you get this thing, so the shoulder gets knocked down. And then, once you get that, then you take the hone, or the steel. This is the steel. Now, this knife, like I said, I take it past here. I don't do this, and I don't do that. I do 18%, 18 degrees. I go like this, and that there is, I do that on this side, I do on this side. Now, don't tell me you don't have a dull knife in your kitchen. I know that. Everybody here's got a dull knife. And I'm trying to sharpen you up a little bit. That's what I'm doing. So anyway, and then you just go like this. If I look like I took butchering at the University of Nebraska, I did. And so this here, now that you've got the thing stoned up, and now there's little tiny things on the edge of this thing. And when you do that old tomato, you can just drop this blade in that tomato. This thing is razor sharp. And I put some tape in here just in case I miss, because I'll be letting blood, because this here thing is sharp. This can cut anything. It is so sharp. That's because it's got the edge, it's got the shoulder taken off, and then it's got the final edge. And when you sharpen it, there's a little, if you take a magnifying 300 times, it either goes this way a little bit or it goes that way a little bit. And when this thing lines it up. So everything on that blade is all lined up. So when you go down there, it's just all straight in a line. And so anyway, I'm just like going here. I got to get done with this. And I'm not going to show, I'm going to go on past that. I'm going to go to here. As iron sharpens iron, so you sharpen your friends. That's what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not talking about enemies. I'm talking about your friends. You know what's the hardest thing for you in your life to get rid of? That's when someone rejects you. Boy, that's hard. Because you were the wrong color or the wrong finance or the wrong something this or wrong that. Oh, that's hard. The hardest thing, rejection is the toughest at any age. You've been rejected. I've been rejected. Get over it. Go to somebody and talk to them. Just like when Bruce was chewing me out, you know what I did? It really helped. I just went outside and took some of my grapefruit and oranges and I put them out in the street and I started giving them to people and I just got release. Just do something for somebody. That heals your mind. So anyway, I can't read all. I got to get to going here. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. Today, they have a pharmacy in your brain. In the last days, that's Revelation 18:23, at the end of times, the merchants of the world will deceive the nations of the world through their, what does that say? I'm not familiar with that word, but I want to call it huh? You think that's going on now? Oh, boy. They're putting pills down people in their minds like crazy because the news. Who's this guy? Who is that guy? You know him? Huh? Oh, somebody said it. Who is that? Where is he on? Oh, what? How much? Keep going. 100. Who said 100? $100 bill. Sure enough. You know what he said? There's 3 hard things that you're going to have to do. Steel's hard, a diamond's hard, and to know what's in you is hard. Because you got to humble yourself. Cut that pride stuff out. Those 3 hard things. And you don't deny steel and you don't deny diamond, but I bet you got a problem with you. Personal and spiritual growth is a communal affair. And our society it's sick. I mean, like me riding around on a bicycle, they said, there he is. He's a bad guy. Call the cops. Just because I'm riding my bike in the middle of the night? That's not a crime. Oh, yes, it is. Today, everybody's suspect. You know what? I about got jailed. A cop came up to me, he about booked me. But I had McAllen shirt on. He says, I think I'm chasing the wrong guy. Oh boy, that was a good word. Anyway, do you have other irons in your life who can help sharpen you? We are blessed indeed if we have at least one friend upon which he can count for loving, constructive criticism. But if we do not have any such person in our lives, we need to be looking for them. Who's that? That's Alcoholics Anonymous. You have to have a sponsor. If you have drugs or alcohol, you have to have and over the years, here's what every sponsor is necessary a leader. And I'll just let you read that. You know that. Alcoholics Anonymous. You have to be, hey, you can get yourself in the trouble with one person, but it's going to take 2 people to get you out. Did you know that? When you get addicted, you got to have help. You can't do it yourself. You look at the Bible and look at Jesus. Every time, who was it? Brought a man sick or palsy. Who was it? A friend. Every time. Are you doing any of that? You got somebody on the list? Wow, got quiet. Hey, I can hit that door faster than most of any of you. Put somebody on your list. Get a life. It'll heal you. Anyway, that's what Alcoholics Anonymous. You got to have a sponsor. He has to be similar to you. And the worse shape you're in, the better condition you are to help him. Look what's happened. I got this on AAA's website. Look what's happened. We're going to drink our way through this. We're going to tip a few in 3 months. That'll fix the problem. If you want to be a friend, be genuine. Don't be a taker. Can't you give a little bit? Be loyal. You have to be positive. You can't be negative and have influence on somebody. That's a downer. Oh, Linda's saying I got to quit. Shall I quit? Can you give me a little more time? I mean, I'm kind of on a roll. If you want to, don't leave. That would make me say, oh, I got to quit. Appreciate differences. Common interests. Be open. Be honest. Don't protect yourself. Be yourself. Join a club. If I didn't have Linda, I'd go to every church in this valley and I'd be hunting for a woman. I would. I'm nobody by myself. You think, well, I mean, anyway, I better quit. Hurting people. Now here's one thing bad. People who have been hurt And I know that. They seek distractions from their hurt. That's number one. Sometimes they prefer to be a loner. I have a brother that is a recluse, rich recluse. And he's happy about it. I mean, he has no life, to my thinking. And a lot of people go to bed like 2 in the morning. That's not healthy. They tend to overthink. Don't make it too complicated. They get upset easily. Have you had people go off on you? They cannot make the difference between a toxic and a healthy relationship. They're vulnerable. Some people are vulnerable. They're not patient. Anyway. So here is how you communicate. I took a class, I used to teach it. I don't know where it was. This lady came down. She says, what you say don't matter. What I'm saying here don't matter nothing. It's all this stuff. Me, my tone of voice. That's what we're talking about here. My words don't count. Next week you won't even know what I said. But what you read is my body movement, my face, my arms. That's what communication is. You think, oh, you're lying. No, sir. When I would be a junior high teacher and I walked into that classroom, I better be prepared, because by the time I got to the desk, those kids say, hey, there's a goat. I'm going to get him. They read you like crazy. You don't have to say a word. Just the way you walk. You just look at them. They know what you're about. If you're a pushover or not. My brother got run out of the classroom. He had 4 years of college. It's the speech. What is that? Your words, 7%? So it isn't what you say, it's who you are. You can't do what you don't. You know, Eisenhower says, I won't push a string, I will pull a string. My soldiers follow me because I lead, not because I push. That was back when they built presidents. Okay, look at this. I know that you only have like 5, right there it says 5. You probably only have, I've heard said you only get 5 close friends in your lifetime. 5. And you know, sometimes I kind of agree with that. With this thing going on, it might be less than that now, because they don't want you, they want everybody by themselves. So anyway, so what do we got here? Okay, I'm going to wind this down here. Okay, remember, dear friend, as you pass by, now I'm talking because I'm 76. Anybody here over 76? Okay, I'm the senior. Where was it? Oh, look at there. Well, I got to be careful. I have 2 seniors. As you pass by, as you are now, so once I was. As I am now, you soon will be. Prepare yourself to follow me. So I'm going to say, now get this. I'm going to move on to this here. The number one thing in the Bible says in the last days is going to be selfish. You don't want to do anything. You want to seclude. You don't want to spill yourself out. It's going to be me. I'm going to protect me. That's the number one thing in the Bible out of 21 things. And we're there. We've had so many bombings and so much masking and so much virus. We're just scared of each other. And you can find that in 2 Timothy 3, 1-7. 2 Timothy 3, 1-7. List them out there, 21 things. I'm done. Get this. After I'm 71, I have regrets. 76. Life can only be understood backwards. After you live it, It's too late. To education, kids, marriage, making money, it's too late. It's now. Life is only understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. In other words, now is the day of salvation. I've taken too long, haven't I? So I'm done. I'm all done. I'm long-winded. Sorry about that. Dear Lord, thank you for the privilege I had of talking with these people. May I be a better person, and may I have influenced someone, maybe. Because we're going to Nebraska, and I'll be through down here, Lord, and so bless this church, Lord. We fell in love with this church, and it is a blessing to us. It has been, Lord. Bless it. There's nothing like it in town except those on this Sabbath. And I ask these favors in your holy name. Amen.